Ready to master the art of self-taping so you're ready for any audition that comes your way? By the end of this video, you'll know all my self-taping strategies so you can take the tech headache out of your audition. And for all my very best tips on how to perform with an American accent, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can be notified every time a new video comes out, which is every Wednesday. Now, some of you may not know this about me, but I actually went to film school many, many years ago. And one of the great things about being an actor and going to film school is you learn all about the behind the scenes of making a movie or a TV show. You learn about the lights, the camera, the sound quality, and these are all really important to understand for your self-tape audition. So what are we waiting for? Let's dive in. Tip number one is to find your light. Now, the easiest way to find your light is by using some natural sunlight. So you want to choose a room within your home that's got amazing natural sunlight coming in. And obviously you want to choose the best part of the day when the light's really filtering in beautifully. If you don't have access to direct sunlight or you have to shoot at night, then you're going to want to get some sort of lighting kit to help light you up. Now, you don't need 5,000 different lights to light you up from different angles, although you can go that far if you would like to. You really just need one, maybe two nice lights to help light you up. If you're just using one light, make sure the light is just in front of you, maybe just off center to the camera so that we can really see your face nice and beautifully lit. Now you can either use softbox lights, any sort of LED light. I'm using a ring light. The light I'm using right now as I film is from Spectrum by Aurora. Spectrum by Aurora has a really nice big beautiful round light. It's big enough so that I can have the camera sit just right in the middle and it lights me up beautifully. And you can set the amount of light that you want, the brightness, you can dim it. So it's got some really great features there. So whatever you choose, again, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg, but just a little bit of money is going to go a long way in terms of lighting yourself and making sure that you're seen. Number two is quiet on the set. You want to make sure that you're heard. So make sure you don't have any sort of artificial noises coming through. The lawn blower from down the road, the dog barking just outside your front door, the construction going on in the house next door, or that annoying car alarm that keeps going off. Beep, beep, beep. Who wants that in your self-tape audition? Certainly not the person watching. We don't want to be distracted by all these exterior sounds. We want to be able to focus on you. So that's number one. And number two is making sure that you've got good quality sound so that we can hear you. So making sure that if you're using the audio that's connected to whatever you're using to record, whether it's a video camera or your smartphone, that you're close enough in proximity so we can actually hear you, because that's going to be really important as well, is that you're heard, that we can understand the lines. If the audio isn't good enough on your video camera or your phone, you can always get some sort of external mic as well that can help boost the quality of your sound. But again, you don't have to spend a lot of money as long as you have a really good quality smartphone or decent camera. The video and audio quality should be acceptable. And hey, has that ever happened to you where, let's say you've got to get a self-tape audition into your agent and you've only got a half an hour and you've got to film, but somebody's doing construction next door, the leaf blower's going? Comment down below and let me know your funny story for self-taping. What happened to you when you were trying to get your self-tape done? Because I know we've all had those situations. Number three is your background. Now, I prefer a real neutral background. For example, my wall is sort of like a light gray, and I like to film my self-tape auditions on that wall. Whether it's a light gray, any sort of neutral color, or even a blue background, whether you paint the wall blue or you use a piece of fabric, just make sure with the fabric that there aren't any wrinkles or crinkles, because that can be really distracting as well. The other thing that can be kind of distracting is if you're too close to the wall. So if you've got your back up against the wall, sometimes that can can be distracting for the viewer as well. We want a little bit of distance from you to the wall so that you don't blend into the wall. So that's my tips on your background. Number 4 is your focal point. Now, the most important thing is for us to be able to see your face, your expression, right? So you want to make sure that you're slightly off camera so that we can see most of your face. So it doesn't matter which side you're looking at, which side you position your reader. The important thing is you're just close enough to the camera so that we see your beautiful face. As soon as you start to go too far to the side, see how we start to lose my face? And this is much harder for the person watching to really be engaged if we can't really see your face. We want to be able to see your expression. So make sure your focal point is just off the camera. So that's number 4. Tip number 5 is to keep costume and prop choices to a minimum. Only use props if absolutely necessary, and make sure that they're not too distracting. So for example, if you're supposed to be on the phone and you're holding a pen, sometimes the act of using some other object that isn't what you're supposed to be using can distract the viewer, and we don't want that. So instead, either mime or use an actual phone. But again, keeping the props to a minimum is what I recommend. So don't use a prop unless you absolutely have to use a prop for the scene. And then with costume, you don't have to go crazy into all the bells and whistles of the character so that the audience can believe what character you're auditioning for. We've got an imagination, so you don't have to go that far. And in terms of what you're wearing, you want to wear neutral colors, nothing too big or bold or bright. So even, for example, what I'm wearing is probably a little bit too bold for the usual audition. I wouldn't naturally wear something that's got this sort of pattern. I'd usually stick to a much more neutral color and no patterns at all. So that's my tip on costumes and props. Number 6, now we've talked about recording devices a little bit. So basically, when you're filming, you can use your smartphone. You don't have to use an actual video camera or DSLR camera. You can if you want. It's entirely up to you how much you want to invest in your recording device. But these days, smartphones are amazing for filming self-tape audition. Now, the important thing to remember is when you're filming with your smartphone is to film in landscape mode, not portrait, so not vertical, but horizontal landscape mode, because this is how the audience is going to be watching your self-tape audition. So you don't want to make it complicated for them. You don't want to get them frustrated because you filmed it in portrait instead of landscape. So make sure that when you're filming, you film in landscape mode. Now, as I'm talking about tech, of course, you can go fancier, more bells and whistles. It's entirely up to you. Or you can go really simple. And if you want to know my suggestions for tech, feel free to download my guide. It's just down below, and I'll give you my suggestions on video cameras, microphones, lighting, all the things I like to use, you'll find in the Self-Tape Tech Guide. But most important is to keep it simple. Whatever you decide to use, make sure it doesn't distract you from your audition. So now you know my very best tips for setting up your self-tape for your next audition. And don't forget to go ahead and download the free guide that's just down below if you want my tips on self-tape tech. Now, if you missed last week's video, which is all about auditioning with an American accent, make sure you check out that video coming up next. And if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed, and make sure to share it with your friends. Thanks, and I'll see you again soon.